Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Anybody want to talk medical sales? I just picked up a Starbucks and 3:31 p.m. headed home. Dylan, dude, you got to stop stalking me. What's up, guy? What's up, man? I did a podcast episode today about you. I didn't mention your name in it, but it was about the what we were talking about yesterday and what I DM'd you about. Jennifer Larson, what up? Didn't I hit you up on LinkedIn and you didn't get back to me? I'm pretty sure I messaged you on LinkedIn, Jennifer, and you didn't respond to me. Pretty sure that happened. What's up with that? Yo, yo. David Nutter, what up? Got this big-ass motorhome driving next to me. Does anybody actually feel like that's a good idea? I feel like I would hate driving a motorhome. People think about, like, driving a motorhome across the country to, like, check out a bunch of places. Like, nah, man. No, thanks. Yes, I know. I need to get back to you. Don't give me that excuse. Just graduated. Like you had anything going on. Just kidding. What's up? What's up? I don't know how to say Hamlaji Hamu. What up? What up? Mariah was indecisive on her schedule. Oh my gosh, more excuses out of you. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. B. Creighton, what up? About to pull up that podcast. Nah, Dylan, I haven't posted that one yet. I recorded it earlier today between accounts when I was driving. So I haven't posted that one yet. But you'll know it when I post it. Good, man. What's up, Michael Jenny? What up? What up? What up? How are those helicopters doing? Keep them in the air, right? Insta Live going up, Dylan. You know it. You know it. Third time's the charm. Third time is the charm, I got to tell you. What do you guys want to talk about? Who wants to do like a dual FaceTime? Anybody got something to talk about in regards to medical sales? Or in regards to Starbucks coffee that I just picked up? Had a good meeting this morning with a guy, young surgeon at Northwestern. I don't know if I should say the names of the locations. Probably should. So just disregard that. Young guy at Northwestern. But anyway, he started in practice like 2 months ago, and he wants to use our product. But he started 2 months ago, and it's at a massive facility. Pumpkin cream cold brew is fire. Sounds pretty weak, guy. Sounds pretty weak. Yeah, it's probably good. I'm not a pumpkin fan. I just get literally black coffee. Anyway, I met with this guy this morning. A lot of times when you're going to be in medical sales, especially with the large institutions, you know, he was talking to me because he just got out of his fellowship. He did a fellowship out in Colorado, and pretty much every place they did surgery was at a surgery center. Like when you're at a surgery center and either the people that you are the owner of it as a doctor, or you're working under or with people that are owners of it, you can typically bring in whatever products you want, more or less. You know, you get like 3 people to sign off on it. You can probably walk it in with just you and say, hey, I'm going to trial this product. You like the product, then you go to your partners or your board of directors, which is like 3 to 5 people, and they sign off on it. So you can kind of use, more or less, assuming the pricing works, whatever you want. But you go to like a big, massive hospital system with, 100 orthopedic surgeons throughout the area. It's a lot harder to get products in there. So anyway, I met with him this morning. He loves it, wants to use it, but then again, I can't walk it in there tomorrow. So he is, he's going to get me connected, hopefully do the same thing, essentially just sit down and have a coffee with 4 of his partners who are kind of the movers and shakers in the organization from the orthopedic standpoint. So good topic idea, maybe your experience. Hamu. Hard to spell, just realized they have follows from Algeria. Damn, man. That's wild. I got to tell you, when I first put out the podcast, like I had no idea what to expect. And I saw people from like other countries listening to the podcast. I'm like, that's like, it's so insane that in this day and age, like some random guy in Chicago can put out a podcast that somebody else around the world hears. Like that is, if that doesn't blow your freaking mind, like nothing will. That's insane. Good topic idea, maybe your experience as a brand new rep, kind of how that compares to your time with a few years under your belt. You know, as a new rep, what that looks like is a lot different based on the products you sell and the companies that you're with. So when I started with Arthrex, I was a foot and ankle, hand and wrist rep. I was a distal extremity rep. When I started with them, they've got a pretty good sized distal extremity portfolio and book of business now nationwide. But when I started with them, it was kind of their infancy. They had vast market share in sports med, but in foot and ankle, hand and wrist, they didn't have much at all. So what it looked like for me, at least the day to day, was a lot of cold calling. A lot of, you know, there were, I don't know, a handful of doctors that were using our plating system. So I'd be doing like, you know, first MTP fusions. I'd be doing some plating cases, things like that, but some ankle fracture cases, but not that much. We didn't have that much business. So I was brought on as a distal extremity rep. Essentially, there was enough business to justify hiring somebody, but then that person would be solely focused in that area of the business. So you're investing on the front end. So they were definitely paying me more than what that section of the business was bringing in. But there was enough to say, all right, now we're getting enough traction. We're going to hire this person. Now let's move forward. So when I started as a rep, like I was only selling surgical products. And so it was a lot of just learning the anatomy, learning the procedures, understanding all of the plating systems. You got to know every size screw and every size tray. You got to know, is this stainless steel screw? Is this a titanium screw? I can't miss and match those. Do I understand why our plating system would be better than the alternative? You know, why would our Arthrex ankle fracture set be a better alternative to somebody that's using Synthes ankle fracture, for example? So, you know, that it was a lot of that early on. You're just trying to learn the business. Like you walk into, I still remember I was with a guy, Mitten Pure. Shit, that might be the guy that I was just, Mitten Pure. Is that, yeah, I think it is. Anyway, I won't say your name. I think I was with you. Maybe not. I was with somebody. Did like the first ankle fracture it was an ankle fracture was the first case that I went into, and then the doctor was pretty cool. So he's like, he knew it was my first case, and he's like showing me what he's doing, and resecting the periosteum off the fibula, and here's the fracture site. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's how we're gonna put a lag screw across the fracture site to compress it, and then we're gonna plate it over the top. And it was fun. It was a good experience, but you're going to do a lot of that early on, assuming that you're in a surgical sales role. And there's just no substitute for putting in massive effort. Like I still remember I reached out, I texted my distal extremity manager, who was out of Cincinnati area, I think, on a Saturday. This was, I don't know, a week or two after I started with the company. I texted him asking him a question about whatever I was studying, because they gave me a 3-ring binder to learn, foot and ankle, hand and wrist anatomy, and procedures and products. And I remember texting him and asking him a question specific to our products or procedure or something like that. And he was very impressed that I was on a Saturday working and training and learning. And when I say like it doesn't take that much to differentiate yourself and separate yourself in the business world, that's what I mean. Like if you put in effort on the weekend, like you're gonna stand out. So that's kind of how it compares to like what I do now. It's not that much different than what I'm doing now as far as like the day-to-day. It's just I can go faster today because I know what I'm doing. I'm more confident in it. I think I get better results. Like the rate at which I can actually close some business when I get the meetings, I think is probably higher. The day-to-day is not a whole lot different because I'm back to a situation where there's not a whole lot of business that we have right now. I'm with a startup company, so I've grown the business a little bit. I've got a handful of customers that are using the product, but it's a lot of, bang out as many meetings as I can get. How many demos can I get with surgeons? How many times can I get the product in the doctor's hands? That's not a whole lot different than when I started out. But if you're selling surgical products for a company that has a lot of business, like there's a lot of Arthrex reps, for example, just because I know that world. There's a lot of Arthrex reps that come in as sports medicine reps, and literally all they do all day, every day, is cover surgeries and then set up surgeries. So on Monday morning, they're in surgery at 7 a.m. and they're literally hanging out in surgery all day. And then at the end of their day, they're going to pick up some equipment from this place over here, and they're going to run it to another facility for a surgery that's happening on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then that's their day. And that's literally 8-10 hours. So if it really comes down to the products that you're selling and how much business is out there as far as what the day-to-day looks like early on. Yeah. Does that kind of answer it, Dylan? Is that what you're thinking? You might have just gone off the rails with that one, but that's all right. Julia Hazel, what up? What up? What up? Mitten Pure, what up? What up? What up? Pumpkin cold brew. Is it actually that good? I feel like everybody raves about the pumpkin spice lattes and cold brews and whatever else, but I'm just not crazy about that flavored stuff. Now we got some sweet weather coming in, raining here in Illinois. That's surprising. We have. I provide very valuable information, dude. You're the only one who gives us insight specific for medical sales. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Hey, Jen. Miss you too. We're in the same class. Nice. Was that the one where you guys were playing the medical sales vlog video thing? Those reps salesmen or servicemen that just cover cases all day? Is that you, Tim? Tim, I'm pretty sure you're Mitten Pure. Is that right? Just tell me if it is. Are those sales reps or servicemen that just cover cases all day? You definitely start as a service rep, essentially. You might have the title of associate sales rep, but you're going to be servicing strictly while the other guy sells. What is that? Lauren Dressone? Sorry. Trying to read it while I drive and not get in an accident. Talked about you a lot, actually. Whoa. Podcast in the end. Yes, Tim. Tim, I knew that was you. Tim Curran, boys and girls. Welcome to the Instagram Live, Tim. Say hi to everybody. Like a bait. What up? Yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands now. That's my go-to line when I don't know what to talk about. Anybody have questions? Have you heard a lot about the Gallup test? Yes. Yeah. The Gallup test. I've taken it 3 or 4 times. Full transparency on the Gallup. I'm pretty sure I've sucked every time I've taken it. So take that for what it's worth. There's my understanding from people who have done it and have done well is you're essentially trying to game the system. Like, they have questions and you're supposed to give the predetermined answers that they're looking for. Now, whether those are accurate with how things go in the real world or not is, I'm not here to say that they're a bunch of BS, but, I don't know. I'm not a good person to talk to about those apparently, because apparently I suck at taking the Gallup. So, what's the difference between sales rep and serviceman? So there's a couple of things. You could be, so there's different titles that exist. Most most people that are getting into the industry for the first time are going to be associate sales reps, ASRs, something along the lines of that, associate sales rep. But there are also like clinical, get out of here. There are also like clinical personnel who just do like they'll just go and service clients, period. There's no hard distinction between what a service rep is and a sales rep. Like when you're a sales rep, you have to service customers. So there's not like a clear, bright line between the two. Generally speaking, if I'm a territory manager, I'm the territory sales rep, the head person in the territory. I have the most experience. I have the relationships. I'm going to be the one that's doing the most selling. Like that's going to be my primary objective because the numbers are mine. I have to grow the territory, right? Just like everybody else. So if I hire somebody that's going to be an associate rep, like I don't need them to come in and sell right away. Like maybe, I would take any sales that they can get. But what I'm trying to, if I'm at the point volume-wise in a territory where I can afford to hire an associate sales rep, essentially what I'm doing is I'm hiring that person to take care of the business that I already have grown so that I can go sell more products. Like that's the idea behind it. So when you come in as an associate sales rep early on, you're probably going to be doing a lot of servicing. And just by servicing, I mean taking care of and maintaining the business that's already there. That's going to be priority number one. And then priority number two would be obviously selling if you have the opportunities. But that's kind of how I feel like you should think about it. Yo, Cal Nutter, what up? Mark of Bait, what up? What's above a territory manager in most cases? Above a territory manager would be like a territory manager, quote unquote manager, is a full line territory sales manager, full line rep, whatever you want to call it. All that means is that you have a given geography, whatever that is. It could be boundary lines of a state. You've got this state, or it could be you get these 10 accounts, right? Whatever that is, you are responsible for the business and the numbers in those accounts within that geography. The next person above that is going to be somebody that manages a subset of territory managers. So whatever you want the title to be, but it's probably something like regional sales manager or, Midwest sales manager. That person is going to then oversee 5, 10, 15 territory managers. So that's generally the person that's right above it, a sales or a territory manager. When you get into the industry, is it easy to change specialties if you don't like it? Switch from spine to ortho. Short answer is yes, much easier than getting in the first time. So like once you're in and you have sales experience and industry experience, like you're automatically going to go to the top of the list for any, checking out that mountain bike he's got on the back, hardtail, not a full suspension. Anytime you are going to be interviewing for new positions, if you have industry experience, even if you're not selling the exact same product, you're going to be much more highly valued because you'll at least have experience selling to surgeons. So like the way I think about it is it's harder to go from selling capital equipment, meaning that like capital equipment is like power saws and drills, for example, like ones you would buy at Home Depot. You could sell those products to facilities, but that sale is much more of a sale to a facility and a group than it is selling a specific implant product to a surgeon. It's, in my mind, you're going to be much more prepared or much more sought after if you were selling, rotator cuff implants, you were doing sports medicine implant sales, and you wanted to move to spine, you're probably in a better position there because you've already sold to doctors directly versus selling capital equipment, which is much more of a group-wide GPO sale / multi-facility sale / it's less of a selling one-to-one to a doctor. So short answer is like, yeah, it's definitely easier to move around once you're in the industry. Many other medical, especially outside of orthopedics sales, have the feeling that orthopedic reps just service their accounts and surgeons and do not actually sell often. That can definitely be Tim Curran, boys and girls. He actually You were in the industry long before I was. I didn't work for Tim, but I worked for a guy that worked next to Tim. There are nuances with that, what Tim's talking about, because if you are a rep for a company that's like the market leader, for example, like I'll just use Arthrex because I work for them and I know it. If you're a territory manager for Arthrex and you've got 80% of the sports medicine business in your geography, in your territory, you're going to be spending almost all your time servicing accounts, covering cases, moving equipment, making sure that your customers are taken care of. You're pretty much farming that business. So if you're then going to try to go to take a job with a company that doesn't have much business, just because you have a lot of industry experience does not necessarily mean that you're going to be the best fit for that job. Why? Because, like, I don't know. I guess I've never asked specifically, but there's probably a lot of Arthrex territory managers that haven't cold called a single customer in a year. Like, that's probably happened. So, you've got to, there's some nuance to it. How do you hand a doctor when he knows everything about your product, still doesn't use it, even if he's sort of convinced that you have a good product? I try to spend as little time focused on doctors that don't want to use my product. Now, it's easy to say for me because I'm in a startup role where, like, I've got like 250 doctors in my sales funnel right now, in the sales process that I'm working in my CRM. So, like, I have the luxury of, like, if somebody doesn't want to use my product, like, just move the hell on to the next guy. Like, you want to spend as little time trying to sell unsellable people and unsellable doctors. Now, is that doctor the biggest doctor in your territory, and you've got a finite set of accounts, and he's like the guy that you got to get? Like, okay, you got to work on that. If he's not, if you say that he how did you say it? He knows everything about your product and doesn't want to use it. Well, then obviously he's not going to use it because of the product. So if you still need him to use your product and you can't just go sell somebody else, then you better figure out what it is that will get him to use it, because there's nothing you can tell him about the product at that point that's going to make him want to use it. So what does he actually care about? Like reverse engineer what it is the doctor wants. Like, does the doctor want somebody to play golf with? Does the doctor, getting a call right now, sorry guy, doing a live, come on now, don't call me right now, Andrew. What does the doctor actually care about? Like, maybe he's got a charity that he works with, and get out of here with these phone calls, and you could be involved with his charity, or, like I said, he likes to play golf, or maybe he wants to go to sporting events, or, like, I don't know what it is, but you got to figure out what that person actually cares about to then use your product. Like, apparently your product is not that good to where they would use it because of the product, so then you got to figure out what else would motivate them to use it. Like, that's going to be a relationship sell all day, is what it sounds like to me, unless there are some other details that I'm not aware of, like GPO contracts that are in place, or usage agreements that are in place, something like that. But, like, if they're not going to use it because they don't think the product is that much better than what they're currently using, and they're not going to make the switch, then you better figure out how to build a relationship with that person so that they use it because they like you and they want to use your product. Kristen LaFay? What up? Mark Bay. What up, Mark? Anybody want to do I did a screen share with Dylan a couple times ago. First time I did a Facebook Live. Anybody have something they want to talk about? Gotta stop getting texts and phone calls. I'm trying to do a live and drive on highway traffic and avoid phone calls and texts from my wife and my boss, and drink a coffee that I haven't even started yet. Do you have to do phone interviews for your first med job? feeling really personable in person, but kind of nervous how to handle that disconnected kind of setting. Yeah, I don't know if I did phone reviews for the first one. Honestly, I just don't remember. I probably did. Like, I probably had like a phone screen to start it. But certainly the other jobs that I've gotten, like the one that I'm on right now, I had well, there were multiple phone calls, but like probably 2 or 3, you could probably count, formal steps of the hiring process that was strictly over the phone. So, yeah, I mean, people are deathly afraid of the phone, and I have no thoughts on how to get over that other than just pick up the damn phone and do what you got to do. Like, I got nothing. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, you're just gonna be like, everybody's nervous the first time, Dylan. You know, so like, don't think of that as like a weird, like every single person is nervous the first time they pick up a phone, and or the first time they interview, and probably the second, and probably the 50th time too. Mitten Pure, how do you respond to a doctor who says he will use your product but expects you to attend every surgery the product is being used? That's actually a very legit and advanced question out of Tim Curran, folks. Mitten Pure, follow him. How do you handle a surgeon or a doctor that says, yeah, I'm going to use your product, but I expect you to be there at every surgery? I think that comes down to how much business do you have, and can you afford to not take that doctor's business? Like, at some level, we all have numbers and quotas to hit. Like, this is a performance job, and there's a lot of variables that are going to go into that, but how I think about that is, how much business does this doctor have? This is the number 1 doctor in Chicago, and he says, I'm going to use your product, but I expect you to be there every time I'm using it. Like, done. Like, yeah, I'm going to be with you every single time because you're the biggest doctor in the area. And or, let's say you're $10,000 short of your quota, $50,000 short of your quota, you know, and it's Q4. And this doctor using the product is going to help you get that quota. Like, hell yeah, I'm going to be in every single surgery that you have using my product. Now, if the numbers aren't that tight and you can't actually afford to make it to every surgery, you got to make a judgment call there. Do I tell the doctor yes and then try to let him down easy? Or do I tell him I will try to be there as often as I can, but I can't make any promises that I'm going to be able to be in your surgeries every single time you're using it? Like, it's hard for me sitting here to give you a standard answer that you can give. There's variables on how much business do you have currently, where you at in relation to your quota, what days of the week does he do surgery relative to other surgeons that are using your product. Like, if he operates on the same day that you have 2 other doctors who use your product, and this guy expects you to cover all of his cases, or her, does that mean that you're never going to be able to you're never going to be able to spend time with the other 2 doctors who use your product on that same surgery day? Then you got to be smart about what the volume potential is there. Because if you, like, there are some doctors that are good and comfortable if you leave them alone and they don't expect you to be there all the time. But you damn sure better be checking in routinely, or somebody else like me or any of the other competitors are going to be in there knocking on their door saying, hey, use me, hey, use me. When was the last time you saw Tim Curran in your case? Oh, it's been freaking 3 months. Use my product because I'm here. Like, that's going to happen. So, who do you think is the best in sales, Grant Cardone or Jordan Belfort? No idea. I mean, they both seem like they're very good. I've got a number of Grant Cardone's sales books, and I've read Jordan Belfort's book, The Way of the Wolf. I actually thought Jordan Belfort, like, there's some stuff in the Jordan Belfort The Way of the Wolf book that is a little bit out there that I'm not, just not really for me. But there's actually a lot of really tactical advice in that book that I thought was on point, talking about like the straight line sales path. I think that's right. I think there's a lot of good information in there that you don't want to be, spiraling off the road to Pluto, Like, it's easy for, I think, young reps to think that I've got time with the doctor, and the best way for me to use this time is to, he likes, the Chicago Bears, so I'm going to talk about the Chicago Bears the whole time, and think that that's building rapport. Like, yeah, you might want to touch on that because that might be a good way to connect, but it's really easy for the customer to use the fact that you're talking about the Chicago Bears, because they probably don't want to be meeting with you anyways. They're doing it for whatever reason. Like, unless they love your freaking product, they're meeting with you because you either annoyed them long enough that they're like, fuck it, I'll just meet with this guy. Or, their staff set up a meeting for them and you're buying them lunch or a coffee. Like, they're probably just trying to get out. Like, they're going to take advantage of the fact that you're talking about the Chicago Bears and then use up all 15 minutes that you have with them, and then you never get anywhere. So I think the straight line sales path is actually a good way to think about it. GC's got some good stuff too. Obviously, I've been on a number of his webinars and read a number of his books. 10X Rule, Sell, Be Sold, Closer Survival Guide. I think that's it. So I don't know. It's hard. I think never take any single person's advice on sales as like absolute truth, because the reality of life is that every scenario has variables that are unaccounted for that somebody else cannot account for. Like, you're the person in the moment, in the scenario, and you've got to use intuition and judgment in that scenario that somebody like me or anybody else can't say, here's what you need to do every single time. Never take any single person's sales advice as like, do this every time. Like, I don't think so. I don't think that's the right way to think about it. Take some of it, but especially like somebody that's at that broad of a scale, they're giving sales advice for every single industry. But maybe I'm the idiot, maybe I'm the ignorant one, but like, selling medical devices is probably not the exact same thing as selling copiers. Like, you're probably going to have to alter the way you're thinking about how to sell based on whichever industry you're in. So don't go, I would say take what's useful and then leave the rest. Back to you to 10 every. Would you rather work for a distributor? Tim, were you talking about the doctor said he'll use your product, but he works every Saturday and Sunday? Man, judgment call. I don't know what to tell you. Do you need the money and do you need the business bad enough? I think that's really the only way to really think about it. Like, assuming, like, if you need it bad enough, the answer is yes, I'm going to be in your surgery every time. If you need the numbers and you need the money and you can't afford and you'll get fired without it, the answer is yes. Now, if you're on the fence or the answer is no, the question is, doctor, I need you to be dead honest with me. What is it that you need out of me to be in your surgery? I want to support you. I want you to use my product. Your business is absolutely important to me, but I cannot be there every single time. And you're a good enough doctor to be able to use it without me there, and I understand there are probably other reasons why you want me in surgery and you like having me around, and I fully get that. What else can I do to support you and give you the love that you want, but doesn't require that I'm in your surgery every single time? That's probably how I would handle that. Unfortunately, the coffee's still warm. Haven't even taken a freaking sip of it yet. Would you rather work for a distributor or direct for corporate as a sales rep? I would probably lean towards distributor. The question is, would you rather work direct for a company or for a distributor? A distributor, for people that don't know, is essentially a third-party company that generally sells multiple companies' products. So you might have a company that sells, like, you might have a third-party company here in Chicago that sells, Wright Medical foot and ankle products, but then they also sell, I don't know, pick any our product, a resection product. They might sell sports med. Now, Wright Medical technically owns Tournier, so they have that in their bag. But you would have one company who is not manufacturing any of the products and is not a direct employee of the parent company that they're selling the products for, but they get exclusive rights to sell those subset of products in their geography. And you're probably going to have access to sell more than one manufacturer's products. Versus you're working direct for a corporation for the manufacturer. So you work for Stryker, you work for Arthrex, you work for Smith & Nephew, DePuy Mytech, Synthes, Wright Medical, Tournier, whatever it is. I would probably say distributor, but I don't know. To me, it's all dependent upon the quality of the product you're selling and the quality of the people that you're working with and working for. So, there's plenty of good distributor groups that run a tight ship and do a really good job. And then there's some distributors that are con artists and they're terrible to work for. I think the upside of a distributor is that you can sell multiple companies' products. So you might not, instead of just selling total joints for, Smith & Nephew, instead of just selling the Smith & Nephew total knee, you could also then sell, the Wright Medical foot and ankle plating line, or you could sell the Medline new plating line for foot and ankle, something like that. So, I don't know. I don't have strong opinions, at least at this point, one way or the other. I think I've been relatively lucky to have had mostly good scenarios working for distributors and direct. Yeah. I think that's about all. I don't know. Anybody else have any other questions? Can't believe people are still on here. David Nutter, Tim Curran, Kyle Nutter, Dylan, Michael Jenny, Hamu, Kristen LaFay. Kristen LaFay, what up? I don't know what else to talk about. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, and I don't know if you saw it, but apparently Kirk Cousins figured out how to play this last weekend. Thank the Lord. They paid like $84 million for that guy. Freaking incredible. That is bad. That's a bad sign. How often do you travel? I don't travel out of state that often. Once a month, once every 2 months for a long weekend. I drive a lot. I put 25 to 30,000 miles on a car every year. So I drive a ton. But in this role and in the roles that I've been in, I haven't had to travel a lot. That just comes down to knowing ahead of time what you're getting into. You might be working for a company that you might have a couple of states that you cover, and then you're going to be traveling quite a bit. Or if you're a regional manager, you're going to travel quite a bit. I don't travel out of state very much. Habu, tell us a little more about the 3 A's concept, attitude, activity, approach. I actually got that from Jared Glant, I believe is where I heard that the first time, who works for Grant Cardone. The 3 A's, attitude, activity, and approach. That just seemed like a really good way to think about analyzing how you're spending your time and what you're doing. If you're not getting good results or not getting the results you want, you've got to look at your attitude, your activity, and your approach. You've got to start with a good attitude. Nobody wants to work with or sell products or hang out with people that are dicks and that are not personable, not interesting, don't have a positive attitude. People that have negative attitudes, you just don't enjoy being around them. So start with your attitude first. Make sure you get that in line. Then look at the activity. If you have a good attitude but you're not getting good results, what are you doing? What's your activity level like? How many, it all depends on the products you're selling. If you're selling a bunch of surgical products, how many demos are you getting with new doctors? When you're in surgery all day, you're hanging out at a surgery center or a hospital all day selling your products. Do you have another demo product in your back pocket with you so you can catch other doctors between their cases too? You've got you've got to think about what your activity level looks like, assuming that your attitude's good. Then look at the activity level if you're not getting the results you want, and just increase your effort there. And then third would be the approach. That's just how good are you at what you do? Like how well have you refined how you interact with customers? Do you have a sales process that you're actually working through? Or do you just have like a pen and paper and notes and you're just going off of your brain? Like if you have a decent sized territory, there's no way you're going to be able to keep all of the opportunities that you're going to be working in your head. So like you've got to think about like what's my actual approach to developing this territory, and how do I move each customer forward in the sales process? When was the last time you cold called on this doctor that's one of your targets? If you haven't written that down, if you don't have that recorded somewhere, it could be literally 2 days ago, and because of how busy we can get, it might feel like it was 2 weeks ago, and then you're calling on them every 2 days, or you just have to be recording what you're doing. Like, you just have to. So anyway, that's kind of the attitude activity approach. Use that to like diagnose what you're doing. It's just like an easy way to remember it as well. Get those 3 right, and like then if you feel like you have good attitude, good activity, and a good approach, then it's just time. Like there's a lot of people that have good activity, good attitude, good activity, and a good approach with getting hired in medical sales, and then they'll reach out to me, be like, yeah, I'm struggling to get into the industry. I'm like, okay, how many jobs have you applied to? 3. I'm like, you're 0 for 3. What are you even talking about? Like, I've got like 190 doctors in my cold call list in my CRM. Like, I'm like 0 for 500, and I'm probably like 0 for 1,000 on all of the doctors that are in the cold call in step 1 of the sales process in the cold call. Like, and then people are like, oh, I'm 0 for 3. I applied to these 3 jobs. I submitted my resume and I didn't get a call back. I'm 0 for 3. I'm like, what do you even? It's crazy. Dylan, interested in the travel aspect. Hey, what's up, Jack? Sorry, doing a live. You called a few minutes ago. I'm on my way home. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Travel aspects, well, I've seen posts that say 75%, some 25%, and some overnight. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How much do you want to travel? Like, if you don't have a wife and you don't have kids, freaking take the travel. I would travel more. Like, if I was early on and I didn't have a wife or kids, I would be traveling all the time for work, because I would take that job, because there's a lot less people that want to travel a ton for work. So my assumption and my intuition is that you could move up quickly if you are one of the people that's willing to do all that travel, and it's not a big deal for you. But if you got a family, you got kids, you got a wife, you got a girlfriend, you got a boyfriend, maybe you don't want to travel that much. Yeah, whatever. Like, figure out what you want to do. You find it tough with how independent your day-to-day is? Yeah, certainly at times, for sure. No doubt. Like, the day-to-day can be very independent, and a lot of times it's like, what should I be doing? How should I be spending my time? So that can be difficult. That's why you have to have a sales process. You've got to have a CRM, whatever you want to call it. You have to have something where you have all of your opportunities and all the people you're calling on. Because whenever I don't know what to do, which is every freaking day, like, I'm kidding a little bit, but like, I look at my CRM, which is, for me, just an Excel document that I built because our company doesn't have an actual CRM. I look at that 20 times a day, and I just say, all right, what should I be doing? And then that helps me. How far in advance should I apply to jobs? How far in advance should you apply to jobs? I would assume if you're a couple months out of school, like of finishing school, then I would start applying. But prior to that, I would go and look at who is the person that's posting the job that you see that you're interested in, and then connect with that person. Like, most times, at least on LinkedIn, I don't know about just on like the corporate websites where they post jobs, but on LinkedIn, if you see a job posting usually you can see who posted that job. And then just start connecting with those people. Because that, like, if I remember correctly, you're going to be graduating in like 2021. Like, just start connecting with those people and building that relationship with them now, so that when you do graduate and you're ready and available to take a job, then you'll be at the top of the list. Fake it until you make it. What's your interpretation of this? Fake it until you make it. What is my interpretation of that? In the actual real world, like, there have been plenty of times when I have been, let's just take medical sales obviously as the example. I've been covering surgeries and I knew little to nothing about the product that the doctor was going to be using. Like, I was brand new, I didn't really know much about it. At that point in that scenario, I generally don't think you want everyone in the room, you know, the doctor or the nursing staff or the scrub tech or the circulator, to think that you don't have any idea what the heck you're doing. So, like, I think there are probably scenarios where you want to at least appear to be more confident in what you're doing than you actually are, because it's going to keep the room calm, and they're not going to be freaking out that, like, oh shit, we got this new guy or new gal, they don't know what the heck they're doing, this is going to be a terrible case. Like, I think there are probably scenarios where the right thing to do is try to come off more confident and calm and collected, cool, calm, collected, and more confident than you probably are or should be, because, so I guess that in some ways is like faking it till you make it. But outside of that, like, I don't know, like, I hear that, like, I read that, and I'm like, what does that even look like in real life? I don't know, like, what is faking it till you make it? Like, the people on Instagram that, like, post about all these things, that they're a, you know, CEO of this company, you know, like, I'd like to see that company's P&L. You know, I don't know. That's kind of what comes to mind. Like, don't fake it till you make it. I don't know. Like, don't even worry about, like fake it till you make it is not really even a thought that, like, crosses my mind in any day. Not even positive or negative. Just like just take care of your shit. Work hard. Work your ass off, and everything's gonna be just fine. That's my official advice. Work your ass off. Everything will be fine. All right, Dylan. Peace. All right, I am just about home, and I need to make a couple of phone calls before I get there. So I got to jump off. Anyway, it's been real. It's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. So, see you guys tomorrow. I can end it.